is David Campbell. I'm a business coach, trainer. Welcome to all of those who are around the world. Great to have you on board with us. I'm going to go through a very quick process for you, which I call the 4 pylons of success. And this is really an introduction to you in terms of your business, where you're taking your business, what you're doing with your business. So without further ado, let's jump into that and have a discussion about it. So I've named this the 4 pylons of success. And I use this basically the analogy of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So for those of you who are overseas, wonderful Australian icon. But the 4 pylons I relate to being the 4 key foundations to your business. So what I'm looking at is, what are the 4 main factors that will achieve success in your business if you do them? So we're going to jump into those. We're going to have a talk about those for the next short while. And the first one that we look at is develop the owner, not the business. What a fascinating question, or what a fascinating statement. You know, here in Australia, 8 out of 10 businesses will actually fail in the first 5 years. And that's a dreadful statistic. And I believe it's because the owner is not being developed. The business is being developed. And in and of itself, there is no potential in a business. Our businesses sell products, they sell services. There's no potential in that. The potential lies in the person who owns the business selling that product. So if you develop the owner, you will, by nature, develop the business. Can I get a show of hands, please? How many of you have actually driven home during, one afternoon, and you've arrived home in the driveway and you've thought to yourself, how did I get here? It's me. And the reality is, we operate our lives on autopilot for so much of our lives. In fact, psychologists have worked out we spend about 95% of our life operating on autopilot. So what does that mean? It means that we're given a whole lot of information, where information is just poured into us, and we regurgitate the information in a particular scenario. So we learn how to react. We don't think about how we react. And that's an interesting question, isn't it? Can you think back through your education? When were you ever told how to think? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Our education process is about giving us information. Nothing wrong with that, but it's about pouring information in so that we can regurgitate it at a later stage. So when we get into small business, in any business, we get to a point where, how do we think into this business? And we don't know how to do it because we've never been taught to do it. It's a real challenge for all business owners. There's some wonderful statements by a number of people, but in the whole process of business is about being busy. And I challenge you to say that activity is not king. Thinking is actually the king. So if you think into your business and you apply that thinking into your business, the activity flows along. But being busy is a regurgitation of activity. It's a regurgitation of information. There's some wonderful quotes. Thinking is a deliberate and focused process that draws insightful solutions to existing challenges and creates the future through visioning and imagineering. Now, Walt Disney made that quote. Fascinating quote. So how should we look at thinking? One of the things I started doing about 4 years ago was to actually take 10 minutes at the beginning of every single day and just think about my business. Not what bills have I got to pay, what meetings have I got to go to, etc., etc., etc. I do that the night before so that I'm ready for the day. But I actually stop and think, where's my business going? What are the things that I want to, and I start to dream. And it takes time. It takes a process of practice of just doing this so that you wind up at a place where you start thinking into your business. A great example for me, one of the things I do as a side business is I'm a wood turner, and it's actually a business. And And I was thinking into that a while ago, and I thought, you know, I could value add to the product of a beautiful wooden pen by laser engraving it. Where would I get a laser engraver from? I could make one. So I wound up making my own laser engraver, CNC laser engraver. And now I can engrave pens for clients. You know, it's about what's the next step in terms of thinking into your business and growing your business. And it's stretching me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah? So we need to unlearn those unproductive habits that we've had for such a long period of time. We need to really restructure what we're doing in terms of our business. We don't ask ourselves enough questions because it's questions that trigger thinking. So where are we going with that? What do we do with that? I love, as some of you will already know, I love John Maxwell. John Maxwell is a mentor of mine. I'm part of his program. But John talks in his 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership about the law of the lid. And the law of the lid is the concept that you've got a jar with a lid on top of it. And if you put fleas into a jar, they will jump out. But when you're a flea circus owner, what you do is you put them in, you put a lid on. And they jump up and they hit the lid until such time as they realise they can't get out. Then they jump up and they stop just short of the lid. That's when you can take the lid off and they will never ever jump out again. Are we doing that in our business? Are we placing a lid on our business and creating a situation where we tie down the potential of our business because of our lack of ability to actually think into the business? And I would suggest a large number of businesses are doing that. And that's where I can help, because I can come in and I can coach you through that process. But if you remove that lid, will your business go anywhere? The potential of your business is stifled by the fact that you haven't been prepared to grow. The same thing happens in leadership. You can apply that principle to leading people. You can apply that principle to leading your family, leading your kids. There's so many valid scenarios that you can place into that particular principle. So the law of the lid, an amazing, amazing example. But it's about growing the owner, not the business. Make sense? Yeah? Great. So, wanting to move on and have a little look at the fact is that once we start to grow, we start to create a situation where we can't blame anymore. We have to take responsibility for what we're doing. As we start to grow ourselves, we say, well, hey, I thought of it, it failed, or it went really well, good on me, but I'm now starting to take responsibility. And something that I'm noticing in society where so many people are so willing to not take responsibility anymore. So we've got to push back on that as a business owner and say, no, this is my business, I'm taking responsibility. So wherever it goes, I'm responsible for that. That has to help drive us to start to think clearly and decisively into our business and where we're going. It's an interesting one because we start looking at here 5 qualities to consider when as contributing factors to success. You know, being honest with people, being well disciplined, getting along with people, having supportive spouse. I think that's actually really, really critical. And it's not just spouse, it's family. It's connections around you, people who support you in your business, and then working harder than most other people. You know, the interesting thing is that certainly where I'm from, in Canberra, in Australia, a lot of people come from salaried roles where they're paid to work from 9 till 5. They come into small business and they want to work from 9 till 5. And that doesn't work. We know that. I'm sure you guys recognise that because you're in small business. Small business is about you keep it going, build the momentum. So it's a really interesting prospect for a lot of people, and I do think it's the reason why so many businesses actually fail. Because people aren't prepared to put in the effort, not prepared to take the responsibility, not prepared to grow themselves. So, interesting challenge. One of the things I find particularly interesting about business is when we look at our business, what do we actually see? And I think we don't see the potential. So a question for you. How much potential is in your businesses right now?
Huge.
Huge?
Immeasurable.
Immeasurable. And I would agree. Potential is unlimited. I regularly do this presentation and a course with a number of people. I've literally just finished a course of 16 businesses. And I asked that exact question. Every single one of them said, no idea. Don't know where we're going. Potential is what we deliver. I said, no. You're missing the point. Potential is in you. And it's unlimited. The sky is the limit, you know? And none of us have been that far. So we can achieve so much if we see the potential. One of the issues we've got is, it's a bit like the analogy of imagine yourself as being in a picture, inside a picture frame. You can't see the frame. Therefore, you can't see the potential, the beauty. You know, I read this morning, in actual fact, one of the key interesting facts, you can't see your own ears. I found that a fascinating fact. But it's interesting, you know, with your business, you can't see the potential if you're not looking for the potential. Yeah. So you've got to start, what are the things that will reflect the potential back to me so that I can actually grow into that potential? Where am I going? It's about, again, that thinking, that setting of priorities.